Welcome to the Human Reboot with me, Emma Last. We have uplifting, inspiring, and diverse reboot stories from people sharing the courageous, honest, authentic, and sometimes difficult life lessons. The Human Reboot will provide proven mentally flourishing formulas and practical tips to help you to live life to the full, giving you direction and hope. Make your mental fitness and well-being a daily priority. Learn to pause so that you can get clear and perform at your best. Switch off to switch on. It's time for your Human Reboot. Today on the Human Reboot podcast, I have with me the most amazing guest, Ivy Chanel. She is US born, and she says that she is of FBI origin, so French, Black and Indian, which we will get her to tell us a little bit more about when we start talking. She has established herself on the international music scene as a singer, songwriter, producer, dancer, vocal coach, and now an author. Ivy Chanel, would you mind telling us a little bit more about what you do?
Yes. So I have to practice what I preach. So I'm a professional singer, recording artist, and I'm also a vocal coach that help emerging artists and professional artists transition their career and help them level up in their music career. And yeah, I'm just living the dream, This is what it's about. Live the dream, not just talk about it, be about it. And that's what, spread love is my mission in the world, is spread love for self, spread love for your fellow man, your significant other, creator, plants, the animals, and that's what, through my music, through my teachings, this is the ingredients that I use in order to be successful in life.
So you've worked with many bands over the years, haven't you?
Yeah.
So who would people know you best for working with?
Well, I have my own 10-piece band. That's number one, under Ivy Chanel. And I also have a lead singer for CC Music Factory for the Asia and Europe tours for Freedom Williams. And also Moore's Pleasure. He played for Earth, Wind & Fire, was the music director for Earth, Wind & Fire for 10 years. And for Michael Jackson, he played keyboard for This Is It tour. So I've been, for the past about 4 years, been his lead singer for the Milestone band. And yeah, I've been also this freestyle jazz band in Germany, and also my own band that I tour with.
That's amazing. So, okay, I'll watch my P's and Q's today, seeing as though I'm in I'm in such famous company. Would you mind sharing with us your reboot story? So just a little bit about your journey, maybe how you've overcome challenges or adversity in your life and how you've adapted and thrived through those changes.
Well, I can take it back where I started in the music career. I mean, I started singing since I was 5 years old. Been in the music industry since the age 15, singing hooks. I'm a dancer first, and then I got into, my parents kept us entertained. So we had to entertain ourselves, either modeling, playing sports, numerous choirs, and then I started singing hooks for hip hop groups, especially my brother. My brother's a famous hip hop DJ. His name is DJ Cash Money. And I was like, hey, I want to get into the music industry. Like, he asked me to write a hook. So it took me 5 minutes to do that, and then 5 minutes to record it. It took me 10 minutes to do that. And I was like, he said, you get paid for the rest of your life. And I said, hey, I want to go into that business. But my mother was like, no, you're going to uni. I'm like, oh, come on. But it was the best thing for me to learn the music industry, learn the business, learn about business, because now I know how to read contracts, and also to come from there to go into the music industry. It was like a male dominating scene for us. The women, they pretty much were like, okay, you sit still and look pretty. They wouldn't take us serious. And then I had to prove myself. So that for me to persevere, and I had good people around me to support, to keep me grounded, and to, do things that's not going to go against my morals nor my respect for myself. because the being in the music industry, I had good people around me that kept me grounded. They gave me the do's and the don'ts in the music industry, but also to believe in myself that everything starts with me. So I had to have that inner power that, you know, really understand when someone says no to me, that means not yet, or maybe it's meaning I'm not ready, or maybe they're not ready. So the ratio is really like if you get 10 no's, it takes 10 no's to get one yes.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of no's when I was starting, and it used to be like, it used to get me down. I'm like, what am I can't sing, or like, I'm not good enough. But then my mother and my family, they said, no, you have to start believing in yourself. You can do this. Just because someone said no to you doesn't mean the next person is going to say no. So I had to first start with myself. Everything starts with me, even down to the point where me singing and writing songs for the first time in the music industry. I started as a session singer. And what we do is we demo other people's songs. And then I started writing for other people, writing for bands over here in Europe and London and Denmark, Japan. And then I started saying yes to things, saying, okay, yeah, put myself forward and say, I'm just going to say yes. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. I was busy. And then I was like, okay, that's how I started believing in myself, because I put myself forward and put my words into action. I started building my reputation, but the main thing was building my confidence for myself, not for my parents, not for my associates or the people that was hiring me. I did it for myself. And that's why I said everything starts with me. If if I want to be the best, then I have to hang around with the best. I have to watch what I say to myself because I'm listening to myself. So I always speak positive things to myself. I put positive things in the atmosphere, because if I say I can't do something, that means I won't do something. If I say that, okay, I'm a horrible singer, well, guess what? That's what I'm going to get, that I'm a horrible singer. But if I say, hey, I'm during that time, a professional in training. And as a vocal coach, this is what I train my students today. That's what I'm saying. I'm a professional singer. I live the dream, and my goal is to help others live their musical purpose I want them to be inspired. Whether they go into the music industry full-fledged or they're just doing it as a hobby, I train everyone to do this as a profession, but it's up to them how far they want to go. My success is different from everyone else's success. My success is actually me as a person, be the best Ivy Chanel that I can be, and that's where going into the music industry and my reboot is not knowing anything to knowing a lot, to the point where I read a lot. I read about the industry. I asked questions because, as my mother always told me, like, there's no question that is stupid. It's stupid when you don't ask. So, and another thing too, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. That's one of my lyrics in one of my songs too. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So there's no mind readers. A person doesn't know if you need something if you keep your mouth closed. So my mother always taught me, my parents always taught me, if you want something, ask for it. Believe in yourself that you will receive it. You're worthy of it. You start, and this is what I teach through my music, through everything that I'm doing. I just want to inspire everyone to say, hey, you're here on this earth for a purpose. Everything that we do everyone have different gifts. Find what that gift is, and then we serve one another. We uplift one another. And that's pretty much what my reboot is basically not knowing about the industry and then go into the music industry and start building my confidence level, getting wisdom and knowledge, because wisdom and knowledge make life easy. Because once you know how, it's like playing the Monopoly game. If you don't know how to know the rules of the game, how are you going to win? So you can't just wing it all the time. Like, I know there's a phrase that's out there that says, fake it till you make it. Well, my motto is faith it till you make it. So I don't fake anything. Everything's real. You know, see, this is what you get. This is it. You know, if you love me, leave me, love me, or leave me alone. That's where I'm at with it. The motto.
So, I just wanted to pick up on a couple of things. So, really interesting things that you've said there. So, I'm dying to know a little bit more about the fact that you call yourself you're of FBI origin.
Right. Yes, I'm a French Black. I'm Native American Indian. That's a Cherokee Nation. I have actually five tribes in me. Actually, we call ourselves nations. So you like the Navajo Nation, the Cherokee Nation, which is Chalagi, which is our natural. That's our original language. You have the Saponi, some Saponi, Nanticoke. So in the United States, there's a lot of us that still we're still here. We just, we don't always wear our regalia. I wear a little bit of regalia if you look at my earrings and my hat and everything. So, I represent. I call myself, look at me, I'm spicy. All these pictures, I'm a melting pot, like a paella. It's there's something for everyone, and that's how I with my music and my songs that's out right now, and I have a new single called "Make Me Wanna." And I'm working on my album. My album's going to be released this year, and it's something for everyone. I tell everyone, think of me as a vocal DJ. There's something for everyone, but we're going to keep the party moving. Keep the party going.
Oh, it sounds brilliant. And I did have a listen to your new single as well, which is wonderful. It's a real sort of R&B and soul type
Yes, yes.
vibe to it, hasn't it?
Live music.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, gorgeous.
Thank you.
So another thing that you said when you were saying about, that you need to kind of speak out, and what was it that you said? You can't feed a mouth that's closed. Was that what you
Right.
said?
You got to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Don't be
So,
afraid to do that.
yeah. Now, I've done that, but sometimes it's got me into trouble. Has there ever been times so have you had to learn to get that balance right?
Yes, timing is everything. And what I mean by that, let's say that let's say someone's in a bad mood and you need to ask them something. You should not ask anything yet. Let them calm down and you really have to, I work myself to a level, and then if I need help, I'm not afraid to ask for help. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If I need more knowledge, don't be afraid. Like, I've been quite fortunate even growing up. We had like the Jackson 5 road manager lived around the corner from us. I mean, that's pretty much, I had like athletes, and my family is musically inclined, and from the Three Degrees, and, from people like Patti LaBelle, her son used to come over, Will Smith, you guys call him Will Smith, we call him Fresh Prince. Because in the hip hop world, everyone used to come over to our house,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, they came for my brother. And so if I listened to the stories that they used to, like tour stories. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys are crazy. Like, but if I needed, like, I'm like, okay, well, I do want to know about how do I get my foot in the door? Like, what do I need to do? Or what do I need to say? Or who do I need to go to? I wasn't afraid to ask those questions. Like, don't be afraid to ask if there's something that you need to in order to progress in life. Don't be afraid, because that's what we're here for. It's just the timing. You have to choose the right timing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
As long as it's something that's going to edify you and it's going to help, and you're doing it for the right reason, meaning that it's going to serve other
Yeah.
people. If you're asking for things that's going to hurt people, forget about it. No, we're not going to do that. It has to be something that's going to be edifying, something that's going to be positive, and something that's going to help other people, serve other people.
Oh, you have such purpose in what you do, which is it's so brilliant to see because from an ordinary girl, if that makes sense, who hasn't had much mixing with fame or fortune, if that makes sense in terms of the music industry, it always seems very, it's all very glamorous, but sometimes it can kind of appear quite false. And I think there probably is that there within the industry, but that's certainly not you.
Because you have to understand, we all started out as normal men and women. We all started that way. We're still human. See, the thing is when you see on TV, you see the glitz and the glam, but you don't see where we have to, like, when everybody's sleeping, we're the ones that's training. Sometimes we injure ourselves depending on what type of move we're doing. Sometimes we're tired. You don't see the practicing that we have to put in. Practice correctly makes perfect. And I'm an athlete as well. I used to run track, play basketball, softball, baseball. You name it, I used to do it. It's because my family, we always kept active, not just for winning purposes, but just to stay healthy, get your mind right. That's how I learned. Thank God for my coaches, because I used to be in Junior Olympics. That's what I'm saying. My parents had me. They didn't just say, hey, you just sit in front of a TV. No, you had to entertain yourself. You had to learn about sports, because in sports, that's where I learned to be a team player. That's where
Yeah.
I learned about leadership as well. There's no I in team.
Yeah.
So we all win. That's why I'm like, thank God I can deal with my band, because it's, even though it's the Ivy Chanel show, it's the team effort, because everyone actually helped make my show a success, and I appreciate them, and I do allow them to shine as well. It's not just all about Ivy. It's about the people, it's about the managers, about the accountants, about, my whole team. So I used to be, again, before the music industry, a regular girl, and I'm still a normal girl. It's just that with the gifts that I have and the training that I have to be a leader and be a team player, that's with anything. Because also I have corporate background as well. I come from corporate. I had a 9 to 5, and that taught me how to run businesses, how to speak up for yourself, and how to conduct business professionally. Like, I had training, I lived. When everyone is sleeping, I'm up studying and reading about the industry that I'm in. Like, even now, I'm like coaching, and then I just got off of coaching. Right before this, I was just coaching one of my students, and I'm like, okay, now, all right, let's put on Ivy Chanel now, the artist. So, so you got to know how to multitask, know how to switch it off and switch it on, and and be honest. There's a lot of illusions. People like, oh, it's the glam and the glitz and all that, but you don't see when we're sweating and we have to do a couple miles to stay in shape, and do vocal lessons and dance lessons and practice, and then study and learn how to play the piano, practice your chords, meet with the band members, then go to the interview. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's not an easy. It's not easy. It's not for the it's not for the weak. I can tell you that one thing.
It's definitely not for the faint-hearted, is it?
No,
No.
not at all.
Okay, so you have so much to juggle, and it's really interesting seeing it from an outsider's perspective, because I mean, do we really think that people within the music industry are juggling all those things, or do they just go and turn up and sing on a stage, or do they just sit in a room and write a song and then it just magically appears? It's so interesting. Have there been kind of moments where you've had to be really careful with the amount that you're doing? Because obviously, knowing what you know about me as well, I worked in the corporate world and became quite burnt out and didn't look after myself enough. Have there been kind of times where you've had to really watch that with yourself?
Big time. And I always got to check in on myself and make sure that I'm not taking on too much, because I'm only one person. I wish I could clone myself. I need two more of me so, to keep it moving. But the thing is, you have to have a balance. I remember I was doing this like 7 days out of the week, and I got ill because of it, like the flu and all that. And I just make sure now I I have to. I'm not only just a singer. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. I'm a daughter. There's more to me than just singing. Singing is just one little part of me. But I'm also a vocal coach. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mentor. A worship leader in church, and I do a lot. But the thing is that I had to get my time together. Time management is the key to it all. My shutdown, I cater for my family on my weekends. Now, if I have a show, then I'll substitute one of those days within the week. But it's like I have to have time management, and I definitely need time for myself. My mornings is usually me and my creator have that moment so that I can just sit still. Because sitting still, I'm coming from the United States, we're workaholics. And London is right behind us. So London is like same way. Now the thing is that you got to sit still for a minute because you can't be just on go 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 go. You really need to take the time each day. I don't care if it's just for 10, 15 minutes. Just take time for yourself and just sit still because I did burn myself out. And so I was working, coaching, singing, performing, doing a whole lot of stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm claiming my weekends back, or I'm getting at least 2 days out of the week for me not to do anything. Because it got to a point where I stopped liking music for a minute because I was doing this like day in, day out. It's like, listen, it's overbearing sometimes. So there's a day where I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear the music. I just want to pause for a minute and then jump in. But this time I take the mornings out and I don't do any business. I don't do anything. Start doing my yoga, stretching, because this is what I mean about loving yourself. And this is what I'm about. My mission is say, hey people, stop neglecting yourself. And what I've noticed, even for my students, women are good for this. We put everyone before us, even business before us. We're the last one to get the love. But we should turn that around. It's like the order is creator, you, and then your significant other, family, then business. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we get that order really messed up and we neglect ourselves. And that's why I'm saying in the mornings, I put love in myself. I love on myself. I'm like, I even give myself a hug. Like, well done, girl. Thanks for getting up. Like getting up for yourself. Getting dressed that day. It's the little things that mean a lot. Like drinking that water in the morning, eating fruit or things that make you feel good. That's part of loving yourself. You don't have to get a brand new wardrobe to love yourself. Another thing that I do when I conquer a goal, I treat myself.
Yeah.
Whether if it's like a little cupcake, you say, you know what, well done, you deserve this today. Because who else is going to do it for you?
Yeah.
And then when someone does it for you, then you're like, oh wow, more the merrier. But at least you love on yourself, because when you start loving yourself, then that's when you start learning how to love yourself. Then that's where you can start loving others. As they say, especially when it comes to if you're married, it's like, especially the women, men too have to be happy too, but it's like a happy wife, a happy life. If the mother's upset, the whole household is upset. So the men need to be happy too. But in order for us to show happiness to our family members, we have to be happy too. That's why I'm like, do the things that you love doing, that you're passionate about. You don't neglect that, because even when you get with your significant other, you were someone before that they fell in
Yeah.
love with you. Like,
Yeah.
oh wow, she's for the life. But us women, we get so bombarded of becoming mothers and wives and caretakers, and then you neglect your dreams, and then you start being resentful, and that's what you don't want. And that's where I'm like, okay, I got to take time out for me.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So that's what I did. I started taking time out for myself. And before we went out, I mean, when you can't afford it, well, I'm still trying to save because of what was going on in the world right now. But it's like, I used to take myself to the spa
Yeah.
just like, you know what, you deserve that this month.
Yeah. And I think, so you mentioned before about when you were working really hard, and it really resonates with me because I think when I was juggling all my work and then I was juggling the kids, and I felt like I'd really kind of lost my identity a little bit. And there was a little bit when you were talking about that that really resonated with me. And then now what you've just been saying around that, loving yourself and treating yourself and just taking that time for you, that really resonates. And it is something that we're probably not great at as
Mhm.
women.
Yeah, I do write things down. I do write down things that what I want to achieve. Like before I go to bed, I write down like this is what I would like to accomplish this week. And then I just jot down the 5 major things that I want to do for that day. And then whatever I don't finish or get to, then I just move it to the next day. And then at the end of the week, I evaluate on what I did accomplish. And then if I accomplish all the things that's on my list, it's usually
Yeah.
about 15 to 20 things that I want to accomplish each week. If I complete the week, then I celebrate. I celebrate myself because you have to celebrate your wins. You know, in the 5 major things, the one thing that is constant always every day is my time.
Yeah.
I take 2 hours before before I start my day, like doing business. I take about a good 2 hours.
So I normally ask people, how do you switch off so you can switch on? So that's, how do you pause so that you can perform at your best?
Yeah, I switch off at a certain time. Now, sometimes that varies each day because I deal with people around the world. So we have a time difference, which we're 5 hours ahead from East Coast, and then 8 hours from LA, and then you have Australia because I still deal with people around the world. But I do shut off. That's why I said I claim my weekends back. Or if I can't get the weekends, if I have to perform or do something special, then I will substitute that for one of the days in the week. But I'm going to get my 2 days in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's things that I do to shut off. Because my mind, even when lying down sometimes I'm like, I'm still thinking about business or thinking about that song or, have lyrics in my head. And what I do, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to work out. I'm going to stretch. Or what I'll do, I love comedy. So I'll watch a film. Or I'll pick up a book that has nothing to do with music or business. But my main thing is comedy because I love to laugh. So yeah, I'll put on the comedies, like a movie or something on from Netflix or Amazon films. I love cartoons. That's the other thing too. Like nothing, lighthearted stuff. I like looking at now. I got into because I'm in London right now. I even like the Bollywood, because everyone is singing, even though they're singing, but it's so lighthearted and hilarious to me. But I'm looking to some of the films and Bollywood and got into like I love Disney.
Yeah.
I watch like Beauty and the Beast. I'll go to the park. I go to the park because I like nature. Um, just take a break. And that's another thing too. You do need to go out and smell the roses.
Yeah.
So that's how I take a break.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And it wouldn't be right without asking you in the human reboot, what is your flourishing formula for living? So, if you were to give our listeners some tips or how to's on how to live, life to the full, what would you say to them?
Well, first I identify what you want. Like really, because I have my motto, and this is a motto that I live by and I also share with my students. Through the sky's the limit when creator's in it. What does that mean? There's no ceilings on our dreams at all. So when creator's in it, the one that created the heavens and the earth, who created me and gave me my gift, I stay connected. They say MT plugged in. Well, I'm God plugged in. So because I'm like, look, I go to the source, who created me, and I don't, not trying to put my faith on anyone, but I'm like, listen, I have to be honest. This is like my gift and everything comes from my Lord, my Creator, and I tap in. That's why I'm saying those 2 hours, I'm tapping into God first to find out how I need to live, and I read Proverbs and knowing how to balance things and what's important in life and how to serve one another. Do everything with love because without love, it's just going to be horrible. Like I do everything with love because love is be kind, kindness, be kind. Kindness opened doors for you. I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have if I was a mean person.
Yeah.
And no one says say, hey, you know what? That mean girl over there, I want to be her best friend. Who does that? They're like, no, everybody's like, oh, I want to be with that happy-go-lucky person. Oh, she seems so nice. That's who you want to be with. So why not be that? And another thing too,
Yeah.
whatever you want in a person, be that first. If you want friends, be a friend. If you want respect, give respect. If you want love, show love. So you have to be it first, and also watch what you say to in the atmosphere. This is not my lyrics. This is God's lyrics. I think the best MC was Jesus. So before for hip hop. But if you look at it, because what it is, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So life and death, you can actually speak life into the atmosphere, then the universe will manifest it to you. You have faith about it, but you also have to have the action too. You can't just sit here, I want 1,000,000 pounds, and then all of a sudden 1,000,000 pounds going to fall in your lap. It's not, or I want fans. I want people to know who I am. Well, just going to sit in my room. You got to get out into the world. Meet people. No one lives on an island. We're all here together, and we all need everyone. We need each other. We need each other, and that's my advice to everyone.
I'm so gushing. This is just so lovely. And are there any books, people, songs, anything that has massively influenced or inspired you on your journey?
Well, I will say, who inspired me the most? Well, definitely Creator, because he's ultimate. I mean, God he's awesome. And the reason why I say this because I know that unconditional love, and I'm talking about that love. This is another thing that I promote is that agape love, and that's what my single is about. That agape love is that unconditional love where there's no strings attached. You know, loving you when you're maybe in the wrong, but loving you in spite of. And yeah, it's not so much about the people that inspire me. It's also about the people who are around me. I'm very careful who I select in my circle, my inner circle. And in order to get that, I had to weed out people in my life because, you have to identify constructive criticism and someone that's being downright mean, So, and then you have those people who are, you meet people who are like, oh, wow, that person make me feel positive, or that person make me feel good. And it's based on their energy, good energy. And then there's people that you may come across that you're like, man, they deplete me. They're like, oh my goodness, they draw me. They make me so low. Those are the people that you need to stay away from. So defining who my mentors would be, it would be those people who live the dream that I was inspiring to live, but also that they give me something like I'm getting a good vibe, a good feeling, and they're giving me something that I need to hear, even when sometimes it's like they're just being honest with me and not stroking my ego, and that's what I do even with my students. I'm not in the business of stroking people's egos. I'm in the business of encouraging you and keeping it, we say 100, keep it real and honest. But it's their choice on which way they want to maneuver, whether they want to take that advice or not take that advice. But at least from my perspective, that's what it is. This is the truth. This is how you should do this from my perspective. My perspective is not the only way of doing something, but I'm being honest from my perspective. But that's the way, even with my mentors. My mentors are very honest with me. I'm very selective of who I have in my inner circle. And that's, it took time to get that. Like I had to go through a lot of people to find out who are the right people for Ivy, who uplifts Ivy, who's going to celebrate me, who's going to handle my success, and who's going to handle my tears.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
So, look, my favorite book is The Basic Instruction Before You Leave the Earth, which is the Bible. My favorite book is Proverbs. My other book that I love reading is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I forget the author's name, but it's called Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, I've read
As
that one.
another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. And what's the other one? Maurice White book. He's Earth, Wind, and Fire leader of the group Earth, Wind, and Fire. His book is awesome. I love from a just as a person, not just a musician or just as a person. That book is beautiful. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Oh, can't forget about My Alchemist.
Oh,
By
yeah.
Paulo Coelho. Yeah, The Alchemist is my favorite. Like I read that like 4 times. And who inspired and still inspire me are my parents. That's what I'm going to say. My mother is a queen, and God rest her soul. My father is a king. God rest his soul. And I have to. The reason why I am the person who I am today is because they made me who I am today. They taught me how to love. They taught me about who I am. I embrace all of me, all of my me as a spirit, because my spiritual DNA is God's spiritual DNA, and that's I'm a spirit first, and then as a human being, you know, I represent my family. I represent my culture, my land and states, what we call Turtle Island. Before United States, it was called Turtle Island. So I represent that. And I am the legacy. I am the legacy. And know one thing about what you have to do. Embrace yourself. Know who you are and just share with the world. Because there's many of us out here. You know, be lovely. Be your life is your life, there's a reason why you're here on earth. It wasn't a mistake. You're here for a purpose. So, that's the best advice I can give everyone and who inspires me. I'm about peace, love, and happiness, Al Green. Peace, love, and happiness. That's what I'm about.
Yes, me too. But I think sometimes when you're in an environment where you can sometimes be in an environment that has a negative impact on you, and it can be an environment, it can be people, and it can change you and it can change who you are. And sometimes it takes stepping back from that to kind of think, right, this is not who I want to be. This is not who I really am. And how am I going to change that? And who is having impact on me in a positive way, in a negative way, just like you say.
Yeah, that's the other thing about your life. Also, another thing too is that I evaluate. I step back every month and say, okay, what was good this month and what wasn't good? Who was good for me and who wasn't good for me? I evaluate because you have to check in on yourself. How are you feeling this month? Did you feel it was a good month? So anything that wasn't good, or a lot of it is a learning curve too. Some of the bad things that happen, people are like, oh, well, it's bad things. Yeah, they're bad, but actually, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today because I need to be strong. I can't, when adversities and things happen, I can't just falter. I got to keep it moving. I got to, like, okay, I learned a lesson. Okay, I know not to do that anymore or deal with that person anymore or treat that person that way. I have to also I don't always get it right. I don't always get it right. But all the errors that I've made, I've learned from my mistakes. So in order for you to be successful, there's many mistakes that you're going to have to make, even sometimes financially, which, yeah, which really hurts sometimes. But it's a learning curve. I'm like, okay, this time around, I'm going to do it this way. So you have to be able to live with change because that's what's constant. Think of change as riding the wave. Because if you try to go against that wave, you're going to get hurt. You're going to be falling and drowning a little bit. You don't want to deal with that, but you want to ride the wave, and just know that there's layers to life. It's not just first you was a baby, you were a child, then you're a teenager, then you're an adult, then you're a senior, you're an elder. It is what it is. It's life, and just embrace it all. Embrace it all, every level. That's what I'm going to advise everyone.
And something you said to me as well when we first spoke, well, we actually met because we were singing and being daft in a room, didn't we? And you had sung on a stage with one of my friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I met you. But you said that you say yes to a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm cautious of things. I don't say yes just to anything. When someone say, "Hey, Ive, do you want to sing here? Or you want to do this? You want to because what it is, I have to think of myself like, all right, especially living and moving to England. I'm coming from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I had to learn there's an English way of doing things and there's an American way of doing things. Now, when I first moved over here, I was more of a sponge. So I wanted to know the ways of the English ways and the Brit way and even caught me, a blue or, a nifty 50 and, that, had to get used to it. And then I'm like, okay, well, Ivy, you don't want to lose yourself as well. So I had to visit home so I can regroup. So now I have a nice balance so I don't lose myself. But when I first, especially the first 2 years, I was like a sponge. And then I had to get used to things. And then I had to learn the ways of how you do things, but then also have a nice balance where, I'm still in England but I can do business in England. It's just like when I go to Japan and there's different cultures you got to get used to, and you got to be nice. That's what I'm saying. Being kind to people help you, to be kind, but also you just got to have that balance, Yeah, just have that balance where you can actually make a difference in any environment.
Yeah.
I look at, it's not so much of what people could do for me is basically what I could do for them. So if I look at myself, be the blessing. That's the way I look at myself. I'm like, okay, how can I bless you today?
Oh, you've certainly blessed me today.
Oh, great. I conquered my goal. Now I'm going to get that cupcake.
Oh, I absolutely love you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're amazing too. So thanks for having me on this. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me today. I mean, what amazing advice you've given, and I'm sure you will have inspired many. So if anyone wants to find out more about you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Go to www.ivychanel.com. So Ivy like the vine, Chanel like the perfume, okay? So ivychanel.com. That's where you can get the artists, and if anyone wants singing lessons, there's a link to my vocal academy, because I launched a music academy for singers. So if you want to hear more about and want to build up your confidence level, and even to sing a song, or sing at a wedding or karaoke, it's ivychanelmusicacademy.com. I'm on all social media platforms, Spotify. Follow me. Hey, I need your support. Say a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I need your support. So support my new single, Make Me Wanna.
Well, I certainly will be supporting you, Ivy Chanel.
Thank you.
And I'm sure many of our listeners will be very intrigued after your beautiful conversations today. So thank you for joining me on the Human Reboot.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Human Reboot podcast. I'm Emma Last, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star podcast review and visit thehumanrebootmovement.com, where you can find downloadable free resources, sign up to my mailing list, or connect with me on social. So that's thehumanrebootmovement.com. Let's switch off so we can switch on. It's time for your human reboot.